Hi, I'm Dr. J. Franklin Schultz, police chaplain, Colorado registered psychotherapist, and retired police chief. I hope one of those appeals to you is giving me some credibility to share with you today. First of all, I want to thank you for your service, whatever kind of first responder you are or a loved one of a first responder. I appreciate what you do and the things that you go through. I've lived it and I want to help you through it. I managed to survive until retirement with a fairly healthy mind. But not without some effort, and so I want to give you some tools that have helped me to maintain my sanity over the past 35 or 40 years. And today I want to talk to you about visualization. Now, one of the first things I want to tell you is I'm not really a touchy-feely guy. I'm not into doing things that are kind of creepy or iffy or weird. I want to do things that are based on brain science. And one of the things we know about the brain is that whether the brain on the inside is seeing something that is real, like an actual mountain or an actual bear sauntering towards you, or if it's on a video screen, whether it's Netflix or at the movie theater, of a bear coming at you or a mountaintop. The inside of the brain is registering those visual symbols as real. And that's why we have a sad movie, we cry. When we are listening to the scanner and we hear somebody else in pursuit, even though it may be miles away from us, we still have that, gosh, something's going on here, your blood pressure and pulse are going to go up and you're going to get a little bit of borrowed adrenaline rush. So the reality is that it is our perception, what's going on in the deep recesses of our mind based on our sensory input, that creates the physiological response of stress or happiness or joy or excitement or anticipation or romance or whatever set of biochemistry that happens in our mind to make us feel something that we express as an emotion. All of that is reality. You see, I really want folks and first responders especially who deal with stressful situations, I want them to understand, I want you to understand that emotions are not just kind of cloud-like things out there over which we have no control or that we must completely control. Emotions are real. They're based on physiology and biochemistry and perceptions of the five senses, and if you have more than five senses, whatever those are. And so that kind of helps us understand that we really do have control over our mind and our body. It might be a struggle, it might be a discipline, it might be very difficult to do. We might be assaulted by some of the things that are happening in the recesses of our brain, like remembering traumatic events or the face of that dying person or this dangerous crash or shootout that we were involved in. But there's a physiological basis for that. And to me, that gives me hope that we're not just being assaulted by some kind of spiritual force that's out there and out of our control. Now, the images that our body responds to aren't always external. They can be internal. So if you have a mental picture or a memory of something that was very sad, that can produce tears. That can produce a feeling of grief inside of us. It can change our body chemistry on our outlook, and then it affects our behavior. And so what I'm saying is we can capture this power of visualization to help us control what's going on in our mind and body. For example, there's been research both with basketball dribbling and piano playing where there were some control groups. One, and we start out with inexperienced people who don't know how to play the piano or inexperienced people who aren't particularly good at dribbling a basketball. And we go out and we make the piano players, one group of them actually practices physically. Their fingers touch the keyboard and they get better. And we take another group out and have them dribble a basketball and make some free throw shots. And then another group just visualizes practicing the piano, never actually touches the keyboard, it's all in their mind. And another group that visualizes the proper technique for dribbling and going in for a layup and shooting a basket. And what the research found is that there was significant improvement Of course, the best outcome with the people that actually put hands on and did the free throw and hands on and did the piano playing. But there was significant improvement in those who just visualized it. And that's true with lifting weights. If you don't have time to lift weights, it would encourage you to do some weight-bearing exercises. But if there's a day when you don't have time to lift weights, if you just visualize and imagine and put your muscles through and your mind through the experience of pushing a bar away from your chest, you're actually going to get some physiological improvement that comes from that mental workout. So now that we know that, let's talk about visualization in a positive way that can help us. And one of the things that we have, that folks have, is intrusive thoughts. Now, with people who have a true diagnosis of PTSI or PTSD, and one of those manifestations of that post-traumatic stress syndrome or disorder is intrusive thoughts. These bad thoughts come back in. These bad feelings come back in. These maybe even to the extent of hallucinations. And then we respond to that because your mind is replaying that. And again, in another video, we can talk about the dynamics of stress and why that is true, why you have this physiological reaction to this thought, to this image, to this set of neural firings down in the brain somewhere. So let's use a visualization of a peaceful scene, and let's talk about the process of relaxing so that we can go to sleep. A lot of folks have sleep problems. They have trouble getting asleep, or they wake up in the middle of the night and have trouble getting back to sleep. And we'll have, again, another segment on sleep issues. But let's just talk about how to visualize. Now, simply seeing a bucolic scene. If you want to imagine a white mountain or a peaceful stream or a flower-filled meadow or floating on a cloud or going on a hike or just anything that you think of that brings peace to your mind, something that would just settle you down. It could be accompanied by some sounds in your mind too, the trickling of the stream, the rain falling on a tin roof, for example. And the problem with that is that we then have these intrusive thoughts that break that, and we can't sustain that nice scene that we're visualizing that helps us relax. So how do we deal with intrusive thoughts? I'm going to give you a few methods, ways to clear your mind. Now, we've got this vision of something that's bringing us some peace and some calm and some tranquility. Our blood pressure is actually going down. Our breathing is nice and deep and smooth. Our pulse rate is slowing down a little bit. And then this intrusive thought comes in. Now, on the windshield of your mind, as you're envisioning this pleasant scene, if something comes in and writes itself or gets in between you and that vision, you can do a couple of things to get rid of that image and just let it move on. Now, you have controls over your thoughts. We call them intrusive thoughts or intrusive visions, but the reality is you do have control over your thought. It might take a little practice and discipline, but you can allow thoughts to come, you can make them go away, you can draw them back in. So one way is to just think of a windshield wiper that just takes that thought away and gets you back into your visualization. Another is maybe a chalkboard, or you may be young enough that you don't know what a real chalkboard is, or a whiteboard, or even one of those smart boards where you touch something and it disappears. And just wipe that off and go back to your original vision. Another is you might think of a thought as a leaf on a river or something that falls into the water, and just let that thought just float on away, and it's not going to disappear entirely. If you need it, you can go get it, but just let it float away, let it go away. Another is you can think about it as a pop-up screen. You know, if you're on the computer and you get this pop-up advertisement, you just click it and it goes away. Or if you end up with some windows that are open, you just click that tab and it goes away and it goes back to your desktop screen. So you just imagine clicking away all those intrusive thoughts until you get back to your original thought that you want. If you want to have a little bit more active way of getting rid of intrusive thoughts, you can imagine that it's a video game, and anytime an intrusive thought comes in, blast it like Duck Hunter. You know, make it blow into smithereens and make it fall down and go out of your sight picture. Now, some of these intrusive thoughts, there's another thought that comes on top of that intrusive thought, and that is, I have to deal with this. I can't just let it go. I can't shoot it. I can't just erase it. I can't let it flow downstream because it's something I really need to deal with. Well, you can categorize that thought, put it in a lockbox, put it in a file folder. And so in addition to that bucolic scene that you have, you might have this little safe down in the corner or this file cabinet down in the corner. And just when that thought comes, open up that file cabinet, put it in. You know that it's in there. When you need to go back and address it, you can. It's not going anywhere. You're not ignoring it permanently. Or open up that vault. Just put all those kinds of things in there, to worry about the bills later, or that argument that you had, or that promotion exam coming up. Put those all in the vault, and when you want to take them out and think about them, ponder them, and solve them, they'll be there. So hopefully some of those images can help you relax, help you get rid of intrusive thoughts, and maybe help you get a better night's sleep. Thanks for listening.